Hello everyone, and welcome to the first video recorded class of the semester. Hopefully it will be the only one, just because I am out of town. I'm actually recording this on Tuesday, but we're pretending it's Friday, so I'm out of town right now. And you are watching this instead of coming to class. So just as a reminder, this will post at 8 a.m. in the morning on Friday, and you will have until 5 p.m. So tonight at 5 p.m. you must complete your attendance quiz for today. So if you don't complete it by 5 p.m. you will not be counted present. So you're watching this video now, and it's just a quick 3 questions to get through just to give you credit for attendance. And some of you are severely lacking on that attendance right now. I want to send you back to looking at the syllabus for the class, and a reminder that there is an attendance requirement for this class. That is a department policy, not mine, so it's not something I can do anything about. So if you're approaching or crossing that number at this point, that is going to be an issue come grade time, just so you know. So make sure that you're coming to class for every meeting. Also, your literature review thesis statements and works cited pages are due today to the D2L Dropbox by tonight. So remember, you're not turning in the whole paper to me. You're just turning in your thesis statement and your works cited page that's going to be an argument about your sources, and we'll look at an example real quick just as a reminder in a few minutes. Also, just a reminder, you're going to complete your peer review of the entire literature review paper in just over a week. So it's going to be a week from next Tuesday that you're going to be having peer review, and that means that you will need a complete draft of that paper finished. So don't wait until the last minute. I know some of y'all thrive on that adrenaline, but it's not always the best. But anyways, you will have to turn in that peer review rough draft, which is a full 750 to 1,000 word draft by next Tuesday. So a week from next Tuesday. And then we will complete peer review on that Wednesday. And then the paper will be due that Friday. So just as a reminder. Also, if you are interested in doing the midterm extra credit quiz that's happening next week, I would go ahead and just kind of review over those PowerPoint presentations. It's an open note quiz. It's not a really big deal that you have the information memorized, but just so you kind of are refamiliarize yourself with the information. But next week we will be having that midterm extra credit quiz. It is completely optional. It is not something you have to do, but it's not going to hurt you if you do. The only thing that you get out of it is extra credit points. You don't lose anything, you just gain. So it is up to you whether you want to do that or not. 10 questions, and each one can earn you a point, and those points are applied to your midterm grade and possibly your literature review paper if you get enough of the points. So just something to think about. That will be available Monday through Friday next week, and it will have to be completed by Friday for the extra credit. So again, if that's something you're interested in, look out for that. Maybe look over those PowerPoint presentations. So just a reminder of what is due today. So you are turning in your literature review thesis statement and works cited page. So this is just a screenshot of what I had posted as the sample. Research topic and your question, just remind me what yours is. And then your thesis statement that is telling me what your 3 sources are, how they compare and contrast, what they are arguing. So you need to be familiar with what the overall argument of those 3 pieces are. So the 3 sources agree that viewing depictions of violence in mass media increases the likelihood of violence in teen relationships, but they differ as to what degree and why mass media actually influences young people. So we've got an argument here that is focused on what these sources say. Remember, you are not writing about your topic yet. You are only writing about the sources and what your sources are saying. What are they arguing? How do they compare and contrast? So make sure that your focus is on the arguments of the sources, not your research paper, not your topic yet. That is for the next paper. And then you're turning in the works cited page, so make sure it is formatted correctly. I will not give you credit if you turn in a list of links. That is not a works cited page. That is just more work for me to do. So you need to format it properly, and that will be part of the points that you get. and make sure that all 3 of those sources on that works cited page came through the library resources, whether that was Galileo or whether it was an actual book or something from the library, and make sure at least one of those is a peer-reviewed scholarly source, because those are the requirements for this assignment. So remember to turn that in by 11:59 tonight. And the rest of the time, what we're going to be talking about is research scaffolding. So this is a handout that I have posted, both the example that I'm going to go over today and a blank one for you to use if you want to, under the content tab on D2L. And this is a tool that will help you kind of extract what your sources are saying. So it's going to help you not only write your research paper, but it's actually going to help you write this literature review paper too. And I will show you how that works. So if you look under sample papers and class handouts on D2L, go down to the bottom, and I've got both of these here, like I said. So this is the worksheet that we are going to go over today, and this is a blank one for you to use. If this is something that you want to use, a tool that you want to use, you can print this out and do that for yourself. And then I'm going to go over this example that is all filled out for you so that you can see an example of how to use this. So we've got example research paper scaffolds. You think about scaffolding. What is scaffolding? When you see that it's around a building, they're helping rebuild that building. They're trying to support it from the outside and work on that building. So this is what this is going to be for your papers. It is kind of a framework for you to work from as you're working on your papers. So the first section of this talks about your research question. So research question, how does color affect one's mood? So whatever your research question is, that is where you would put that. And this particular person is talking about color. And then we've got a hook here. So this is a way to kind of think about what's going to be the hook to draw readers into your actual paper. So this is something probably more for the research paper itself, but so what is interesting about this question? Hook your readers with an interesting fact that might make them curious about this topic. And when you think about the hook, and we're going to talk about writing intros and conclusions next week, but the hook is something, it's usually that first sentence in that intro that draws that reader's attention where they want to go, okay, let me finish reading this. I got to find out what we're talking about here. So this is kind of the beginning part of this person's intro. Colors seem simple, but they affect people. If someone is angry, it could be because they are surrounded by or looking at the color red. I'm not going to speak that exclamation point. People's moods can change depending on what colors they are looking at. One simple color can affect a person's whole mood. So you can imagine here, this will be the beginning of this paper, the beginning of the intro, and then the thesis statement, as we're working towards that thesis statement, that could be the beginning, and then the thesis statement would go after this. So just a place for you to start thinking about that. And then we're going on to the literature review, which again, is what you're writing for me this month. So make sure that you are thinking about your sources and maybe looking over them through this particular criteria on this worksheet. So this is a listing for 5 articles. And of course, you only have 3 for your literature review, but you will have to have at least 5 sources for your research paper. So it has a space for all of them here. So according to, and then whoever the author is, and then we put a date here. So this particular piece was written in 2007. The main idea about this subject is color does affect mood by producing chemicals and stimulating feelings such as hunger. So now we know this is the main argument. This is the place for you to put the main argument of that particular source. And then there's some facts that you can use. And so think about this being, you need to know this overall argument for the literature review, and then this may be some facts from this particular piece that you may use in your research paper. So list some facts from the source that support this idea. Fact: blue, calm because it releases calming chemicals. Red can make you hungry because it's an appetite stimulant. Yellow, irritated people lose temper more in yellow rooms. You notice, going back to red, there's a lot of restaurants like McDonald's and Wendy's and a lot of places that have red as one of their colors. It's because they want you to be hungry and eat their food. Pink, tranquilizing, makes one feel weak, which I don't really like the fact that pink is always associated with females and then it's tranquilizing and weak. Not a fan of that. So in conclusion, Johnson says depending on color, one's body can do things like produce chemicals that make it act in a certain way. So now we've got the overall argument, and kind of this is also sort of stating the overall argument, and then there's some support that this particular writer had in their piece. So you're going to go on and you're going to do that for every one of your other, all your sources. And so you can see there's a little bit of difference between some of these. So Smith here, I feel like we're making up names, the date 2007 again, that the effect color produces is based on what one's body does in response. So this one's slightly different. This is talking about your body producing chemicals and things like that. This is kind of similar to that. And we've got some more color facts here. Yellow is mentally stimulating, activates memory. Red increases confidence. Brown makes one feel orderly and stable. Dark blue makes one feel sad. So this is kind of focusing on emotions a little bit, perhaps. That different colors do, in fact, change one's mood, and our reaction to colors affects the choices we make. So slightly different than that other one. So as you writing these things out, you can see what's the difference in the arguments from these different sources. Because remember, your thesis statement for your literature review has to be how they compare and contrast. And this is you being able to fill out different parts of this paper that show how they compare and contrast. So this third writer says color can affect one's mood, but the effect can also depend on culture and one's personal reflection. So now we've got some of the similar information, but this one's talking about culture and your personal experience and things like that. So, someone from Japan might not associate red with anger. I'm assuming that means that Japan associates that color with something else. If someone likes the color brown, they might associate it with happiness. In other words, hey, whatever your favorite color is may make you the happiest. Pink reduces aggression, which is why jail cells are pink in Seattle. So that's kind of an interesting fact, although still pink is always, now it's less aggressive. It's just, that's not cool. And brown makes one feel comforted. So we've got some more facts here. Overall argument, color affects one's mood, but there are other factors that can affect it too. So that's kind of what all of them are saying. Got a fourth source here that says the main point about color psychology is that color has both a physiological and psychological effect. So we've got green relaxes because it relaxes muscles and makes one breathe deeply and slowly. I think you'd think about like a lot of doctor's offices are green. And blue, also blue, lower blood pressure, makes one calm. So color affects mood because it affects one's body. So you're going through and you're doing this for all your sources. I guess we might as well read the last one here too. The fifth one says color is energy and has a physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional effect on people. So now we've added in spiritual. We've been talking about emotional, a little bit of physical, some of the mental, but now we got spiritual in here. So black is sophisticated and secure, but also depressed. So they're saying that there's two different ways to look, like when someone's wearing all black clothes, perhaps. Brown is reliable and serious. Yellow lifts somebody's self-esteem. So different colors have different effects on people, which is the most generic sentence that I have ever read in my entire life. But that's a way that you can, as you write all this out, this is you writing out your literature review. So we've got ideas here. We found 3 main ideas about color psychology. So the different main ideas, this is where you can kind of figure this out as you're writing through here. That color affects one's mood. They differ based on what factors influence the effects of color, such as culture, opinion, and what goes into one's body. So, an example of a thesis statement for this particular paper could be if you pick 3 of the sources, let's just say, the 3 sources agree that color affects one's mood, but they differ based on what factors influence the effects of color, such as culture, opinion, and what goes inside one's body. So you pretty much have, that's your thesis right there when you're talking about how they agree and disagree. So just make this one sentence, put that together, and you've got your thesis. So explain how the ideas are different or the same. One of the 3 ideas says color affects one's mood based on personal opinion. For example, if one dislikes pink, it can be associated with hate. Another idea says that color affects one's mood based on one's own culture. An example of this is that someone from the U.S. may associate green with envy, while people in Japan think of yellow when they think about envy. However, the majority of sources say that color affects mood by affecting what's going on inside one's body. Seeing blue releases calming chemicals, which makes one calm. Because yellow is the hardest color for the eye to focus on, people may become irritated when looking at yellow. Babies cry most in yellow nurseries. Interesting. Because that's the gender neutral color that people like to choose. But as you're seeing how you're writing these, this is a paragraph from your thesis, from your literature review right there. Obviously, you would be citing all of this information as they are talking through here, depending on which source they got it from. But this is information, this writing out these things, this is something that you're going to have to do in your literature review. So working through this particular worksheet is going to help you with that. Now, this is a section for if you were doing your original research. In other words, if you were actually doing the experiments yourself and that kind of stuff, which you probably will not be doing, so we will just kind of skip over that. And then we get on to the conclusion. So this is going to be a conclusion for your paper. This is pretty much helping you write your thesis statement for your actual research paper, which will be later on. But so what is the answer to your question? So most likely explanation seems to be that color does affect one's mood, but the effects are different for girls and boys. However, there are some similarities. Some results in this student survey were different from the cited research. So that's when they did their original research. Now it is obvious that colors have a great effect on mood. So this could be part of the actual conclusion from the research paper as well. So then it has a space for you to list out your resources and put them in that correct format. But anyways, so this is just a tool. And like I said, there's a blank one there for you to use. If you want to write this, use your own paper and your own topic and do all of that, you can use this as a tool. So just a reminder, as we are finished now, do your attendance quiz by 5 o'clock today. If it is past 5 o'clock, that quiz will not open for you and you will not be able, and make sure that you turn it in before 5 o'clock because it won't let you submit after 5 o'clock either. If you open it at 4:59 and don't get finished, then it's not going to give you the time to do it. So, make sure that you do that, and you also are turning in that literature review thesis statement and works cited page to the D2L Dropbox by tonight. And as always, if you have any questions, please feel free to email me and ask me. Goodbye.